I'm building a 2-trailer tiny house and we're making progress. Let's do a build update. We've been having unusually good weather for this time of year, so I've activated beast mode and I've just been going as hard as I can to get these 2 trailers framed up. Just like the side trailer, this one's framed out of 70-35 clear pine. It's braced with steel strap bracing and I've used some OSB brace board in places. I'll explain why I've done that in a moment. This trailer houses the main living areas, so it's got larger windows and an opening for the door. One of the key differences with this trailer was the need for these side walls here to integrate to this structure that supports my swinging walls. It's critical that the wall holds this main post here just the right angle, because that'll adjust the angle of my wall and the alignment of my locking pins here into the receiving trailer. But what's just important is that this wall here works as a system with this end structure here to support the weight that's going to be swung off of it. It's going to have 2 walls swinging off that are almost 2 meters wide and have quite a bit of weight in them. So this structure here by itself is not enough to support those walls swinging. These walls here need to lock into that end structure to make sure it supports the weight that's going to be swung. That's where the brace board on the end of these walls comes in. I've braced it up to lock it in and make it nice and square, where it comes back here and then is braced down to the back of the trailer. This wall here cantilevers that swinging wall, with the fulcrum being this main post here. You can see on the rear wall here the importance of the wall working as a system. When I push down on this swinging wall, it lifts up the wall at the other end. So really important to have this wall locked in really tight, but also that it's fixed down to the other end of the trailer nice and sturdy, so it's going to cantilever all the weight that's swinging on this wall. Now this rear wall is a bit different because I have this large window here. I've used the brace board to lock up this part of the wall, and then it is braced back down to the rear of the trailer here and locked up with this steel strap bracing at the back. One of the problems I had is I didn't want to brace up the whole wall with brace board because it'd be too much weight. But if I only used it in parts, I'd have a height difference when I come to batten up my wall. So I ripped down my studs to 63mm where I used the brace board, which allowed the brace board to sit flush with the rest of my stud work. Integrating these walls to the end structure took a bit of finesse to make sure I could get a strong fixing of the wall onto the post, but also so that the wall could swing unobstructed. I've also used OSB brace board on the end wall here. The reason for that is we've got this large window that goes full width, and steel strap bracing wouldn't have worked as well. Brace board is a lot more effective than steel strap bracing, and by using the brace board here, I can lock up that top and bottom there that locks that wall in nice and square and keeps my side wall straight. One of the biggest challenges of building a 2-trailer tiny house is maintaining structural integrity. I've got this large open void on the main trailer here that's almost impossible to brace up. Even though I've got this large beam in up the top here that tries to brace it up and stop lateral movement, there's still quite a bit of lateral movement. Now I can't put in cross bracing here because it's part of the house and it's open. So I'm still working on some ideas of how I can brace these up to shore up those posts and take any movement out of these walls. But it is quite a challenge to try and make that work so that I can have this large opening void on the end of the trailer and make sure that this is nice and strong. I've made my own I-beam trusses for the main trailer. I rebatted out 70-45 and 90-45 and then glued in OSB brace board and pinned it with brads. I left a space open at the end there so I can run through surfaces. This has made them super lightweight and really strong. It gets all its strength from that vertical piece of OSB there. I could have actually made them lighter, but I had to run this 90-45 at the bottom here because it drops down to a single piece. I've attached the trusses by batten screwing into my studs and then propping them down to these main beams here. You'll notice this last truss here doesn't have props going all the way down to the base plate like I probably normally would have. That's because it's only one truss, it's not supporting much weight at all, and I've just supported it by putting in a 600mm prop that I've batten screwed into the side of that stud, and given the weight that's going to be on top of that, that should be more than sufficient. You'll notice the trusses drop down to a single piece at the end, and that's because I'm going to run an internal box gutter along this wall here. Now, box gutters can be problematic and a bit of a pain, but it means that the outside of my tiny house will all be at the same height. There'll be no visible gutters and no visible ends of iron, which is going to create a really sleek exterior to the main trailer. This trailer is going to form the main living area to the tiny house. We're going to have a kitchen down along this wall, a couch at the end here, the entrance doors, and then back in the join here is where I'm going to put my study. In the kitchen, I've done this large splashback window. The kitchen cabinets are going to come up to the bottom of the window and the bench top is going to extend into the window up to the glass. which gives me a little bit more depth in my bench top, but also creates a really seamless finish. As much as possible in this house, I've tried to reduce visible lines to try and make it look cleaner and less cluttered. The bench top will come to the edge of the windows, and this window is 700 mils high, so if I do overhead cabinets, they will come up to the top of that window there. But I'm actually going to try and avoid overhead cabinets, and the main reason is to keep down weight, but also I think it will create a really open feel if I can do it. I'll have to see how my storage goes, but regardless, if I decide to put them in later, I've got the ability to put the overhead cabinets in there, and this window's at just the right height. At the end of the main trailer is where I'm going to have my couch. The couch will come out almost 900 and it will have storage underneath. That's where I'm going to store my floor panels for the join when I'm traveling, and then use it for storage when I'm set up. The window above it then comes down to the top of the couch, and there'll be a small ledge here. I framed up the edge of the window so that the wall coverings can extend into the window and become the reveal for the window. I've done this to reduce visible lines and hopefully create a more seamless, smooth look, but also to try and draw your eyes straight out the window without seeing any edges. Coming around to the front, I've framed up an area for my doors. I'm going to do double patio doors on Parliament hinges that open out onto the tiny house, opening up the inside to what will hopefully one day maybe be a deck out there. One of the things you'll notice is I've extended this header stud well past the end of the doors. The reason I've done that is one of the things I've learned from the micro tiny house is windows and doors get smashed by the weather, and I'm looking to do some timber doors. So there may come a need in the future where I need to replace those doors, and it might mean I need different opening size. Because I've extended this header well past the opening of the door, I can move this stud in or out to wherever I need it for the width of the doors without affecting the structural integrity of the house. With the frames up on both trailers, we can now start to get a sense of how the space feels in the tiny house. Now the GoPro is a fisheye lens, so it does distort it, and the space isn't actually as big as it looks on the video, but it is still quite spacious. And we can see how the two trailers has allowed me to create separate areas within the tiny house that makes it feel much bigger than it is. So we finally have the skeleton of a 2-trailer tiny house, which it just makes me so happy to see. This thing that I've had in my head for months is finally starting to take form and shape. But we're not out of the danger zone yet. In fact, we're just starting to enter it. The real challenge is going to be that join. Making those swinging walls and that sliding roof work seamlessly with the rest of the house, but also so that it's going to seal up and be weatherproof. But our next steps is first to get this thing wrapped up. We have a week of rain coming in a day and a half. I've got to get this wrapped and weather resistant. And because Numbnuts put an internal box cutter in, I can't just put the wrap over the top. So I have to work out something to keep this dry. Once I've done that, I'm going to move on to a bracing system to shore up that end structure and making sure that it's going to hold those walls nice and sturdy. And then I'm going to work on framing out those swinging walls and the sliding roof, which is going to be a lot of fiddly work. As always, don't hate, educate. If you see something in this video that can be improved, comment down below where something helps inform people, and I'll respond to you if I can. And in the meantime, go build cool stuff. I've got work to do. I'll see you soon.